In this video, we will see how we can alter the fields list in a pop-up element using the ArcGIS API for Python for feature layers and tables. So open up the update popup fields.py script from the popups folder. Across our feature layers and tables, we have many fields in the fields list that we do not want to show in the popup, such as ObjectID, the GlobalID, and the editor tracking details. To remove these manually, you expand the fields list and you turn off each field that you do not wish to display. Such as if I turn off ObjectID, it has disappeared from the fields list. We're going to see how we can do this programmatically using the ArcGIS API for Python. So let's head over to our Python script. We will use the item object getData method to return the item JSON as a Python dictionary. We're then going to manipulate that dictionary, focusing on the popupInfo fields element and changing the visibility of the fields that we do not wish to display in the popups. We can then use the item object update method to commit the change. In order to achieve this workflow, the popupInfo must exist in the feature service item data returned from the getData method for the item object. There is no way to get popup information from the feature layer object or to update popups through the feature layer object. It can only be done through the item object. We first access ArcGIS Online using the GIS class and supplying in the home string. We'll assign our GIS object to a variable called AGOL. We then use our GIS object content manager get method supplying in our feature service item ID, which I'll paste in now. The get method will return an item object that will assign to a variable called item. We then use the item object getData method to return the item JSON definition as a dictionary that will assign to a variable called item data. We first set a fields list, and this is a list of field names across all our feature layers and tables that we do not want to show in any of the popups. We have ObjectID, GlobalID, creation date, creator, edit date, editor, and shape area and shape length. We're going to iterate over each feature layer and table in our feature service. We're going to do so through the item data dictionary. So for each layer in our item data layers property, the layers property is a list of dictionaries where each dictionary represents a feature layer. We need to iterate over each element in the popupInfo popup elements. The popup elements is also a list of dictionaries where each dictionary represents a popup element, such as our fields list. So if we come across the fields list, the element type will have a type of fields, and for each field in the fields list, field infos list, if the field name is in our fields list, then set the field visibility to false. And it is the same when it comes to our tables. For each table in our item data tables list, the list is a list of dictionaries where each dictionary represents a table in our feature service. For each element in the popup elements, when we come across the fields element, which is our fields list, iterate over each field infos. Each field infos represents a field in the fields list. And if the field name for that field info is in our fields list above, then set the field visibility to false. At this stage, you should be getting comfortable accessing and reading and updating the item data JSON definition. We need to commit the change, so we use the item object update method where we set the item properties parameter to be a dictionary where the key is text and the value is the updated item data dictionary. We'll assign the calling of the update method to variable called status and we'll print status to screen. This will return true or false if the update is successful. So let's run the script. Let's head over to ArcGIS Online and check out the result. Here we see the pop-up for the trail viewpoints. I did manually remove the object ID, but we can still see the global ID and the editor tracking info for the feature layer. And we can see that for each and every feature layer and table that we have. I'm now going to refresh the page. And if I go to the layers and for the trail viewpoints and click the pop-up, You can now see that the object ID, the global ID, and the editor tracking info fields have been removed. They've been turned invisible. And we can see this for each and every feature layer and table that we have in our feature service. Now, interestingly, the fields list here remains full. They were not removed from this fields list. We have just turned them invisible. I'm going to head back to the Python script and I'm going to show you how you can remove them from that fields list. We'll comment out the first example and open up the second example, which is quite similar. Here we have our fields list that we do not want to show. We're going to iterate over each layer and table in our feature service through the dictionary return from the item object getData method. So for each layer, we're going to find the fields element from the pop-up elements, and we're going to copy the list of field infos. We'll assign the list to a variable called field_infos. We're then going to create a field infos property at the root of our popupInfo and assign that to be the field infos list. So we'll have a copy of that field infos list. And we are going to delete the fields from the field list from the fields element field infos. So here we have our field element. We're accessing the field infos for our fields list, and we're using list comprehension to return a list of field dictionaries that are not in this list. And we do the same for our tables. Before I run this, let me go over to ArcGIS Online Assistant and explain. I'm in ArcGIS Online Assistant and I want to view an items JSON, and I'm going to go to my park trails. I'll scroll down to the data section and we'll just take a look at the layer ID 0, which is our trail viewpoints. Scroll down to the pop-ups. We have our popupInfo, we have our pop-up elements, which is a list of elements, and we have our fields. For the field infos, we have just set the object ID to false, and for the global ID and for our editor tracking fields. So they're not showing up in the pop-up, but they are still available in the field infos list. We're going to copy this list. We're going to place it at the root of the popupInfo. The popupInfo will have a field infos out here. And then we are going to delete the object ID, the global ID, and the editor tracking fields from this field infos list. I'll go back to the Python script and I'm going to run. The script is complete. I'm going to first head back over to ArcGIS Online Assistant. I'm going to do a refresh. I'm going to go back into the park trails. We scroll down. We take a look at our popupInfo pop-up elements. Those fields have been removed from the field infos for the fields list, and we have placed a field infos property at the root of the popupInfo. At any time you can grab from this field infos and add back into the field infos for the fields. I'll go from here to ArcGIS Online. You can see here the full range of fields for the park maintenance information table. I'll go back to trail viewpoints. You can also see it for the trail viewpoints, and it's the same for each and every layer and table. I'm going to refresh the page. Go back into the layers. For the trail viewpoints, I'll open the pop-ups, and now look at that. We can see 5 of 11 rather than 11 of 11. That would be the same for all our feature layers and tables. In the next video, we are going to see how we can disable and enable this last edited summary that we see in the pop-up. It is not actually a pop-up element. You will do this at the root of popupInfo. Make sure to continue on to the next video in this series, and also make sure to subscribe. Take care.